Hey guys, welcome back to the shop for S&S episode 130. I think I've got a really nice mix for you this week. We've got all kind of stuff that I'm going to be throwing in this video. We've got some machine work, we've got a couple updates, we got a new tool in the shop, and I've got some random footage that I've been taking at work, some of the projects that I've been doing down there throughout the week, different things that I'm building. You know, I'll take some pictures of it for our records and for my records, and then sometimes I take little video clips of just certain little things, and I got a couple this week, so I'm going to throw those into this video also. I know one of them is going to be kind of explaining how the sliding chuck works on the board mill down there. I showed a video on Facebook here not long ago facing the flange of a pump housing, and I had a lot of people say they don't understand how that works, so I try to show a little bit of how the faceplate works, how I offset it anyway. So we're going to have that in there. It's just a quick clip, and I'm not sure what all I got on my phone, but I'm going to download all that stuff and we're going to throw it in this mix for this week. And we got a job that I've been working on. It's actually sitting right there in the K&T. I haven't completed it yet. We're probably going to have part of it in this week's episode, and we'll have another part of it next week. We'll finish off probably what's going on over here. So that's what we got going on. I think I talked a little bit about the barbecue pit thing a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to throw that in there also. It's just sort of like my continuing little, I'm trying to figure out this barbecue pit stuff, and it's been heavy on my mind. And smoking is, barbecue type smoking has been heavy on my mind. Just something that I'm really thinking a lot about here lately. Not just for eating. I'm talking about, like, I'm really enjoying the craft of it, and being inspired by different people out there that I've been watching and learning about too. So it's something that I have been enjoying. You know, I've been doing barbecuing and grilling for quite a while now, and I still consider myself just an amateur at it, but I'm liking it and I'm wanting to learn more about it. And I'm even going so far as to possibly, I've been thinking about building a smoker, and that might be a future project for me here in the shop. That would be a nice big project here. So that's just something I'm thinking about. So as the weeks progress and I'm outside and I'm messing around and I'm cooking something, you know, I might bring you a shot of what I'm doing and talk a little bit about it, you know, on what I'm experiencing, what I'm learning, things like that. That's kind of what I'm talking about right here. So again, we're gonna have a big mix. I got some viewer mail right here. It's been coming in. We're gonna take a peek at this stuff real quick. And I also want to just start off by talking about the A-Bomb Torque t-shirt campaign. We had a good, successful campaign. I want to thank each and every one of you that made a purchase to the shirt. I sold more than what I thought I was going to sell. We did a good job there. And just thank you everybody for the support. And as of today, I got an email today, and the shirts are in production. And by the time you watch this, a bunch of you guys should have your email notifications that yours has been sent out. So they're pretty quick on getting to the production this time. And I've got some pictures here that I did a special request, and I said, hey, can you give me some pictures of the production and let me throw it on S&S and let the customers and the viewers actually see what, you know, the shirt's being made. I thought that'd be pretty cool. So I got some pictures that I'm going to toss up here on the screen for you to check out. Brian, over at T-Blaster, he's the one that always helps me with these campaigns, and he took these pictures for me this morning and sent them over to me. So thank you, Brian, for that. I told him, I said, I bet the viewers think that's pretty cool seeing the shirts being made off the press right there. So shirts are coming, should be here very soon. And again, thank you very much for everybody who continues to give me support, not just through t-shirt sales, guys, but all of you, all of your views and comments, your thumbs up. Everybody that wants to contribute to this shop in some way. It's really great, man. I can't thank you enough. I really appreciate it. So we're gonna do another campaign here probably in the next week or two. We're gonna start another campaign. It's gonna be one of the previous Shop Life shirts, just to give you guys a chance that didn't buy one to buy one, and I will let you know in S&S whenever that starts. Probably going to do the do you indicate, bro? I've had a lot of people ask me about that, so we got a few people out there who want to buy one, so we're gonna launch that one again, and I'll keep you informed. let's go ahead and jump into this viewer mail that's been coming in. This one right here, I've had this for quite a while. I had it in the house, and I just kind of, it got buried underneath a little stack of mail in there, and I forgot about it. And I can't make out who this person is, and I dug and dug on Gmail trying to find the email for this stuff right here, and I cannot find it. So I apologize. You can just leave a comment in the video if you'd like and say, hey, it was me. But this person had contacted me and decided to make me a bunch of cork seals for the Eagle number 66 Oilers. So it's actually this piece right here. He left the center section in there too. You probably use it for something. So I made a bunch of them. I don't know, there's probably about 10 of them or so right here. Cork seals for the lid on a Eagle number 66 Oiler. So thank you for that. I apologize, it's been sitting around for so long, but those do need to be changed. They're all original, so that's great. All right, my friend over there at Do Right Fabrication, Jim Bollinger, he sent me some more of these sunglasses that I really like. We got 3 pair. These are the red line, you know, Lincoln Electric, the red line. The sunglasses are shades, and these are what I use every day now. And they're just cheap, inexpensive sunglasses that Lincoln sells. I don't know how much they go for. They're probably like $4 or $5 if I had to guess. And you know, they get scratched up, you throw them away, but they fit good and I like them. I told Jim, I said, man, I need to get me some more of them glasses. So he sent me some more. So thank you very much, Jim. Again, that's Jim over at Do Right Fabrication. All right, and we got another one right here. This is one that I had kind of forgot to show on the last episode. We got another heat gun, or a infrared thermometer. And this was sent to me by Sam Casso. He's from Albany, New York. And he was the one that actually sent me the email and said that he had a infrared thermometer that he wanted to send me. And I was like, yeah, that'd be great. So he sent it on, and I had this, and I had it over there, and I forgot about it, and I apologize about that, Sam, that I didn't get to it. But anyway, there's nothing wrong with having 2 in the shop, so we will, it'll be a valuable tool to use around here. I really appreciate it, okay? Thank you very much. All right, one more right here. This is one that just come in, and this one come in from Doug. I'm sorry, Doug. Okay, Doug Hanchard. Sorry about that, Doug. I couldn't make out your last name, and I just couldn't bring it out of the tip of my tongue there. So Doug has got something special here that he has made for me, and we've also got something right here that we're going to help him out with. So he made me a t-shirt. This is his sponsors for his race car. He does short track racing, Wesley Motorsports number 21, and he asked for my art, and he put my A-Bomb 79 logo on this t-shirt right here with his other sponsors there, and he also put it on his race car. He sent me a short little video clip walking around his race car, and he printed that out big and put it on the rear quarter panels of his race car. So that was pretty cool. And Doug, thank you for the t-shirt. It is the Gildan pocket tee, or no, it's not a pocket tee, but it's the Gildan shirt that I like. And he sent along this and asked me if this was something that I could help him with. It has to do with the front end suspension. It's a right and left hand thread. I believe it's for the tie rods. I know it's to adjust your steering on the front of the race car. And this one is aluminum. He needs a couple made out of aluminum. And he says the aluminum ones are for certain racetracks, keep the weight down, but he does need one made out of steel also. So we're going to make a couple out of aluminum, and we'll make one out of some good quality steel, like a 4140, probably something like that, you know. So Doug, I'll follow up with you later, and you know, about this stuff right here. But thanks for the shirt. That's pretty cool. I'll wear it around town. All right. So that's going to be it for now. We're going to go ahead and jump over to our machining footage for the week, and I hope you enjoy. We'll throw all that other stuff in after what we start out right here, and I'll see you next week. We got us a nice weekday S&S project right here that we're going to work on. And what we have is an intake manifold, and we've got a carburetor adapter plate. And it's a 2-barrel manifold, and we got to do a couple modifications, and they want this to bolt down onto this manifold right here. So a couple things going on that we got to do. First of all, I'll go ahead and mention the reason why this job is wanting to be done. This is for a local guy that I've done some work for, and they're building a rat rod, and this is some parts that they had laying around that they said they'd like to use on this motor. So this is what they want to use. So they brought it to me and asked would I do these modifications to it, and I was like, yeah, we'll go ahead and knock that stuff out. So what we got to do on this adapter plate, they've kind of got it marked here where it's supposed to go. On this adapter plate, you can see you've got 4 mounting holes right here. These 2 right here will fit on this intake right there. We're gonna have to drill and tap 3 holes is what we're doing. So we're gonna utilize these 2 holes here, but we're gonna go ahead and drill a counterbore one right here to act as a 3rd mounting hole. So we need to drill and counterbore that, and then we'll come over here and we'll drill and tap the manifold for this adapter plate to mount on. And after that's done, that's the first phase. After that, we're going to do one more thing. They asked if these 4 holes here, you know, the intake holes, if I could counterbore this housing here a little bit where each one of those holes go. So they got it kind of marked with a blue marker where they're at, just to kind of help some of the airflow, the air and fuel mixture to get down into these 2 holes right here. So we're going to counterbore these 4 holes about a 1/2 inch deep, so it'll allow a little bit more airflow down through there. And this is some metric sizing. The closest end mill that I'm going to have to this is 1.5 inches, and the hole size itself is 42 millimeter. Closest one that I could use if I had it would be like 1 5/8, but I don't have a 1 5/8 cutter, so I'll use an 1.5 inch end mill, and we'll line up and we'll, you know, use our digital readout, move around, and go in there and we'll counterbore those down about a 1/2 inch deep. So little project to get done. So we're going to go ahead and get started on that. And I don't know if all that will be done on this episode. We might split it up and do part of it this week, and then maybe this next week we'll do the other half of the manifold there, okay? So we're going to get started on that, and I got one more thing here that we're going to do at the same time. I've got another tool from Edge Technology that we want to hook up and use. We want to check this out, and what it is the mill caddy. Or I'm sorry, it's the mill organizer. And this is like a tray that you can mount to the side of your milling machine table. It's got the proper hardware in the kit, and you can mount it to the side of the table, and it'll hold your, looks like 6-inch calipers. I don't know if it'll hold 8s, yeah. So it'll hold some 6-inch calipers, and you can put some cutters or whatever, you know, in here. So let's go ahead and check this out. Got the phone dinging right there. That's Sarah. So this is some plastic. This is not one of their machine components right here, but it's a very high strength plastic. Okay. You can see the 2 mounts right there, and some 6-inch calipers. Fit in there nicely, and you can just grab them real easy just like that. And again, you can just lay some other tooling in here if you want to. And for me, it'll give me a little spot too where I can hang my air hose. I use the pistol grip style, so I can hook it right there on this. So let's go down there and mount this thing up and see what it looks like on the mill. And don't forget that if you go to Edge Technology, I've got the discount code for you that I've been sharing, where you get 10% off your order. All right, so So I'll have that in the description box down below and the link to send you over to Edge Technologies. All right, so here's the hardware. You get the 2 bolts and 2 washers and then the 2 nuts. And I think I'm going to mount mine right here on this end because most of my work is down on that end of the mill. So we'll see how this works out right here. And so here's my little limit stops for the servo. I just got them loose out of the way. So I think what we can do is go ahead and we'll just go ahead and start these like so. Alright, just slide it in there like that. And it takes a 7/32 Allen wrench. Alright, there it is. Just that simple. I don't think you want to come up and lean on it, but it seems to be pretty strong. Another little touch of A-bomb torque there. Alright, we got our calipers. Bam. One more thing, let me grab my air hose. A lot of times when I'm over here running on this mill, I don't really have a good place for my air hose. You know, I don't have anywhere good to hook it, so I might be able to use it like that. Maybe not. No, we'll see. But anyway, that'd be a nice little addition to the mill right there. Let's check this out one more time. I was sitting there looking at it, and you know, I usually use that style, but I do have this style of air hose too, and that would probably hang on there a little bit better since the handle's not so big. But I'm thinking what I might can do, since I like to use this pistol grip more, is maybe modify this and drill me a hole somewhere in this trough here, maybe even like right here in this spot, since the calipers aren't going to be using up this little section of that groove there, and drill a hole where this could go through and hang all the way up. So that might be a little modification that I do just so that it suits me better personally. I'm not saying that everybody needs to do that, but I'm just sitting here looking at it. So maybe for now, while we do this work here, we'll go ahead and use that blowgun there. Alright, I think I've got everything figured out on what we're going to do. I gotta say, every time I mess with something automotive related, it just seems to be difficult. It always seems to be different. I don't know what the deal is with automotive stuff. It's always different, odd sizes. They're like these holes here, these counterbore holes. Those are 15mm holes. I looked in my bin, I don't have a 15mm end mill. I've got a 13, I got a 14, I got a 16, I don't have a 15. So we're gonna use a 9/16 end mill. That's gonna be our closest size that we've got. All it is clearance for the head of a bolt. By the way, we're rocking the little mill caddy right there. I got my drill bit, I got my end mill, there's the bolt that that's gonna fit. So we've already got this. I scribed it with calipers, found the center with calipers, and then center punched it. So we're gonna line this punch mark up and just simply drill it. And then I got a 9/16 end mill here that we'll put in the collet, and we'll counterbore it with that. All right, I got my center point. We're just gonna use that to find that punch mark there. Nothing critical on that. That looks pretty good. Got a 5/16 drill bit. That's our bolt size. what are we running here? That'll work. All right, got our hole drilled. All right, I'll show you another little way I like to do counter bores. So I'm going to run the cutter all the way down to the bottom of the quill, and I'm all the way against the stop. I'm going to lock the quill there. We're going to turn it on. I'm going to bring it up till it touches. All right, so there's our 0 point. I'm going to go ahead and release the quill. And right here, you can go ahead and zero the knee, and we're coming up, was it 12 mil? Yeah, 472 thousandths or 12 millimeter. 2, 3, 4. All right, 72. All right, so now all we got to do is just bring our cutter down, back down to our quill stop, and we'll be the right depth. That's another little quick way to do these counter bores if you're not reading a readout or something like that on the quill, or you don't want to hand crank the knee up the whole time and count it. All right, there we go. Well, the last shot missed. The camera didn't turn on, but what I was showing you was I deburred it using my little Noga rotor drive right here, like that. These work pretty good for that kind of stuff there. All right, so this is done. We need to go, we'll start on the intake manifold part of it now. We need to get this on there, kind of get it squared up in center and clamped, and what we'll probably do is maybe transfer the hole pattern onto it. All right, we got her clamped down to the table here using this big Wilton C-clamp. I've got it lined up where the customer had got all this lined up, and he drew some blue lines on there, and I've got the blue dots lined up there, and I'll be right back. All right, I was saying we got it all lined up. I'm gonna go ahead and use this transfer punch here. I got just enough room to center that down in there and do a transfer on these holes. Okay, and while I got it here, I'm gonna go ahead and I want to, let me see, that might be a little too much. I want to go ahead and trace some new lines in here so that I know where it's lining up at. All right. So I already scraped the gasketing off the these bottom two surfaces here and buffed it just a little bit, and we'll set those surfaces on a parallel, get it sitting nice and flat, and go in there and drill and tap for 5/16 18. All right, I've been spending a little time getting this manifold set up. Again, with the goofy stuff, everything is always odd with this automotive stuff. So I'm having to stack different heights and get it leveled up. And I think I've finally got it there. We're using the little 135 pocket level, little stair at pocket level. And I've got her clamped down and level both ways with the pocket level. Okay, and I got the 3 hole locations there that I'm going to line up with my pointer and drill and tap it for 5/16. using the little mill organizer still, and I'm liking it. Got my cutters right there, drill, my tap, my calipers. It's working out pretty good. So we'll go ahead and get started. So this here is pretty simple, drill and tap in a hole. I've got this pointer in here that was given to me by Stan, and it's a nice little unit to follow taps with or line up punch marks with. What I like to do is set the point down on the edge and then move the table and watch the center fall to the bottom as I move the table. Alright, that looks good. So we'll go ahead and do one of these, and using a letter F drill. I've got it marked on the drill for about the depth that we want. Let's see. Oh yeah. Well, I wasn't expecting that to be hollow right there. I don't know if that's going to work, but you know, that's where he's got it. That's where he wanted it. So we're going to, thought it was solid. We're going to go with it. Know what I mean? Maybe it'll work. I don't know, man. I thought it was solid right there. Yep. Same deal. Alright, 2 down, we got 1 to go, and I'll bring you back. Alright, we got that last hole drilled and tapped. So I'm assuming that this would be a potential vacuum leak with it going into those cavities there. So this probably is going to have to be like sealed up somehow, but that's not going to be my problem there. That's whoever's doing this, that's their deal. So let's see if all these line up. Alright, that'll work there. So what I can do for the time being is go ahead and leave this. We can just leave this on there. I don't even really have to take it off since we're going to use an 1.5 end mill, and we'll get it set up. I think I'm going to end up having to just go over to the K&T to make my job a lot easier, to be able to hold that big end mill. And we'll get all this lined up over on the K&T, get this squared up, and we'll indicate one of these holes, get it true, and then we'll do our offsets to the other 4 holes. So, but I'll bring you back for all that, okay? I've had a lot of people wonder how this spacing chuck works whenever I'm using it here on the boring mill to bore out a hole. And I know I've shown this in several videos in the past. I just don't recall what videos they've all been in. So that's the boring bar holder, that's the bar. I've got a high-speed tool bit there. And then this is a cylinder end that I've been repairing. I welded some new lugs on, and I'm boring it the size, 1 3/4 hole. So I use a drill bit to drill a hole through there, and I use this boring bar in the machine to bore it the size. So this is how you offset it. So this is a sliding chuck, and it's moved by this handle right here. There's a gear train in there hooked to this part, and it'll move either direction that you want it to go.
So I've got the dial indicator set up there. That's how I check my offset. I need to go 14 thousandths or 28 thousandths total. So you got to split it in half because you're moving one direction. So I'm going to move it 14. Alright, that's 14 thousandths. And I'll take and we'll snug up these two nuts right there to tighten the faceplate up, and we'll turn the machine on, and that should bore it to 1 3/4. So here she is boring it out, taking 28 thousandths, just a light cut. Now finish out those ears there, bringing it to 1 3/4. That's how the sliding chuck works. I hope you can understand it, and maybe we'll be able to get into it a little bit further at another time. So one of my viewers had commented and said that he was disappointed that I did not show runout of the new chuck on the Monarch. It was something that I was actually thinking about doing. I just overlooked it whenever I was making that video. So how about we do a little test now? I think with this iPhone I can focus like that. So let's look at the face here. Get it focused in there. I'm just using my iPhone. Looks to me like the face is maybe 1,000ths, just a shade over 1,000ths. Looks like the needle's going past 0, a few tenths. So not quite 1,000ths there. All right, here on the OD, let's check it. Looks like we're getting about the same kind of reading there. It's not quite 1,000ths, so I'm not running a 10th indicator, but we can all see that's about 1,000ths, just a shade over. So the new chuck's going good.
So I'm getting the smoker ready. I got 2 more of those big pork roasts that I'm going to smoke today. I'm actually doing one for my mom and Fernando. I'm going to smoke that and prepare it and take it over there to them, and then the other one's just for me. So I did a modification. I got a couple that I'm going to be doing to this grill, and one of them is inside this smoke box down here. These grates right here, these are these cast iron grates. It's the same basically as these right here that go in the grill. These grates come out of my Duo grill, which is down there by the AC. The gas side of it was all rusted and burnt out, not being used ever. And these grates are just sitting in there, you know, basically scrap metal. What I've been wanting to do is try to get the fire up higher. They got a grate down in here in the bottom, and that's what I've been putting all the coals and the wood on. And after a good while, the fire is smoldering itself down in all the ashes, and that's one of the things that I've been figuring out by doing this stuff. I need to get the grate up higher, get the fire above where the ashes can rest. So I took these grates, I salvaged them, I cut them using a cut-off wheel so that they would fit in here like so and sit up higher. Now we've got about, you know, 2.5 inches in between this top grate and then the bottom grate, and of course you got the very bottom down in there that some of the ashes can go to. So we're gonna try that out for the first time and see how that does. I'm gonna use some coals to get a good hot fire going, and I'm gonna go ahead and give a shot at using some of the oak wood. I've got a lot of oak stacked up back there, and I'm gonna bring out my I got a saw that I can cut up this stuff with. I'm gonna cut them up into some smaller pieces, and I'm gonna try using some oak for not just smoke, but heat, a heat source also. In the grill, I got a couple pans with some water, help keep the moisture content high in the grill while it's cooking, and also as a drip pan for you know, fat drippings and that kind of stuff. All right. So I went ahead and added a couple more thermometers. That was another mod that I was going to do, and I've got one down here on this end, sort of like in line where your pork and your big pieces of meat is going to be sitting whenever it's smoking, to kind of monitor that temperature there, closer to the grate level. And then I got another one down here for the colder side of the smoker to just kind of monitor the temperatures there too, again at grate level. These are going to read differently than what it's reading up here. Most of your heat's rising up towards the top. So I'm trying to get her tuned in now. It's still a little bit hot, but we're running down here at grate level really close to 300, so I want to try to drop it down maybe around 275 if I can. And I've got my coals in there, and I've got some oak burning, and that's what we're going to try using the oak today. All right, I think I finally got her leveled out and got the fire even the way I want to. The smoke's finally dying down. I'm learning. I'm learning here. So I put the wood in and let it burn for a pretty good while, and try to eliminate a lot of the smoke. And you see I got 2 pieces of oak down in there on top of the charcoals, and they're burned over really good. So it should be getting into the clean smoke now where it's not billowing out of it. And on my temp, I'm actually kind of surprised. It's cooler on this end right now than it is down there, but down here we're approaching 300 down there. We're on 250 right here. So I'm just going to keep maintaining the vents and trying to get it to where it's about an even heat. And I do have my eye grill in there, and we've got both probes. I'll go ahead and lift it to show you what's going on here. So there's the 2 roasts, and I can check internal temperature for both of them right here on the eye grill by cycling through each probe. Both of them are right around 40, 42 degrees. And they're climbing. All right, so we got about maybe 10 hours of this today. Well, it's coming to the end of today's smoke over there on the grill. The 2 pork roasts that I put on this morning. So it's been about 9 hours. Let's see, yeah. It's been about 9 hours. Last time I took 10 hours, but the temperature was a lot lower. So I learned a couple things today. I learned that maintaining a fire in the firebox with real wood is tricky, especially when you're not used to it and you've never done it much before. So about halfway through the smoke session here, I went back to charcoal because I just didn't really like the way that the wood was coming out, what was happening with the wood. It was just creating way too much smoke, way more smoke than what I know you're supposed to have with smoked meat. You know, you don't want dark, billowing smoke coming out of your smoker. You want a light bit of smoke, especially, you know, a little bit of light blue tint to it. So whenever I would put the wood, you know, I had cut up some oak. I used my saw, my DeWalt saw down there, and I cut it into short pieces, and I put it in there, and I had to leave the firebox open for a little while and let the wood catch fire and burn off for a little bit, really char itself over before it would stop smoking. So like I said, I just ended up going back to charcoal, and it just made my life a little easier, maintaining a nice temperature with the coals and just having a couple little pieces of wood in there every now and then. So the meat's going to turn out fine. I know it's going to be fantastic like it usually is. This is just another learning curve for me. So as of right now, I think I'm going to stick to charcoal or lump charcoal with wood chunks instead of straight up real hardwood. We're gonna keep maintaining it that way. So I'm getting ready to pull these things off. There's Stella out there. You enjoying yourself? Yeah, she's enjoyed herself. Stella. Caught you. Alright, so on the probes, I've got one, it says one's at 187 and 186. Well, there we go. I'm sorry, I didn't hit it right. 197, so we're right at the 200 degree threshold. So what I'm going to do is the one that's 197, I'm going to go ahead and pull it off. And I don't remember which one it is now. I think it's this one right here. I'm going to go ahead and pull it off and let it start resting, and I'm going to let the other one get up to, you know, about another 10 degrees, and I'll pull it off. But I'm ready to tear into it. The last one that I cooked turned out really good. It had a really good flavor to it. That salt and pepper rub is mighty fine.